When one does not see what one does not see, one does not even see that one is blind. Paul Vane. Friday, May 10th. A diary. Today I ducked into a drugstore and bought a notebook. This notebook, right here, that I'm writing in. Clearly a momentous event. I've never kept, or been tempted to keep, a diary of any kind, and I'm not even sure I'm going to keep this one, but I thought I'd better try. I find it's a peculiar business because, though I'm supposedly only writing for myself, I feel impelled to explain who I am and what I'm doing here. It makes me suspect that all diarists are in fact writing not for themselves but for posterity. I wonder if there's a child anywhere who hasn't, at some stage of awakening consciousness, incorporated into his or her address the world and the universe. Having already done that almost 3 decades ago, I begin this diary by writing. I am Jared Osborne, a priest, assistant pastor, parish of St. Edward's, professed of the Order of St. Lawrence, Roman Catholic Church, and having written that, I feel obligated to add, not a very good priest. Wow, this diary business is hot stuff. These are words I've never dared to whisper, even to myself. Without examining the logic of this too closely, I can say it's precisely because I'm not a very good priest that I feel the need to start this diary at this point in my life. This is excellent. This is exactly where I have to begin. Before I go on to anything else, I have to put it down right here in black and white who I am and how I got here. Though, thank God, I don't have to go back as far as my childhood or anything like that. I just have to go back far enough to figure out how I came to be involved in one of the strangest quests of modern times. Recruiting Pastor. Why I'm a Laurentian. By long tradition, we Laurentians have been defined in terms of our difference from the Jesuits. Some historians say we're not as bad. Some say we're worse, and some say the only difference between us is that they have a better instinct for public relations. Both were founded at roughly the same time to combat the Reformation, and when that battle was lost, or at least over, both redefined themselves as elitist educators. And where do little Jesuits and Laurentians come from? Jesuit recruits come from Jesuit schools, and Laurentian recruits come from Laurentian schools. I came to the Laurentians from St. Jerome's University, the intellectual hearth of the order in the United States. This may explain why I became a Laurentian, but of course it doesn't explain why I became a priest. All I can say on that point right now is that the reasons I gave when I was in my early 20s no longer seem very persuasive to me. The important thing to note here is that I was considered a real comer when I was an undergraduate. I was expected to be another jewel in the crown, but by the time postdoctoral studies rolled around, I'd been spotted as a rhinestone. Pretty, plenty of flash, but pure paste. I was a big disappointment to everybody, most of all to me. Of course, my superiors were as nice about it as they could be. I was never going to be invited to join the faculty at St. Jerome's or any other of the Order's universities, but they did offer to find a place for me at one of their prep schools. Or, if I didn't care to be humiliated quite that much, I could be loaned out to the diocese for work in the parochial trenches. I chose the latter, which is how I ended up at St. Ed's. I say I'm not a very good priest. I suppose this is a bit like a cart horse saying it's not a very good horse, because it's expected to be raced but couldn't make the grade. The blunt truth is that you don't have to be a very good priest to make the grade at the parish level. This observation is not as cynical as it sounds. The priest is only a mediator of grace, not a source of grace after all. Sure, you've got to be even-tempered and patient and tolerant of human shortcomings, which says a lot, but nobody expects you to be a St. Paul or a St. Francis, and a sacrament that comes to you from the hands of an utter swine is every bit as efficacious as one that comes to you from the hands of a paragon. The way things are going nowadays, you'll be considered a bloody treasure if you don't turn out to be a child molester or a public drunk.